G'day legends, it's Mark here from North Oz, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you around my 2023 79 series dual cab ute. Now there is a lot of things that I have done to this vehicle that I've shared with you guys through the build series and build episodes, but there are also a lot of things that I have not shared with you guys, and I want to just take an opportunity today to share with you everything that I've done to the vehicle over the last 11 months and really kind of document the process as we head into the last little kind of 1% of this build. So I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you get a little bit of inspiration out of some of the things that I have done, and also please feel free to recommend me any suggestions you have down in the comment section. So I'm going to turn the camera around and start showing you guys around. Let's do it. So we're doing today's walk around in the carport because the weather in Cairns at the moment just cannot seem to sort itself out. So we're going to start roughly from the front and work our way back with a few little detours in between there as well. So starting off at the very front, we've got some bar work. So all this bar work is pretty thick sort of stuff, pretty heavy duty, and this is a genuine Toyota bar. So this is for the Workmate. This is a Workmate vehicle, which means it's the bottom of the range if we're talking about the variants that they have. And yeah, but there's a couple of reasons, and I'll share that with you guys in the review video, why I actually went with the Workmate. And it's going to be pretty obvious as we go through this video as well. So at the very front, we've got our bar work here. You can see it goes all the way down to the side here to the scrub rails, and then to some side steps to where they keep. And this is quite interesting. They actually keep the original Toyota factory little side sill here too, which is pretty interesting. Like, you don't really end up using it because your foot ends up going kind of on that bar anyway. But anyway, fun fact, they keep that there when you get this factory bar work put on, and it's all pretty solid stuff. It all mounts underneath just like all the aftermarket stuff sort of does there. So pretty solid sort of gear there, and haven't had any issues with it so far. Just a little bit of surface rust has been appearing on here, so that's just a couple of little minor things, but so far really liking that bar work. And I do think, although it sticks out quite a bit compared to a lot of the aftermarket brands that like to keep things nice and sleek, I actually like having that that bar work sticking out like that. It gives it a little bit of extra presence as well, and because it is a Workmate bar, it's not as wide. You can kind of see it ends here, whereas on the GXL, it actually comes out to about here. So it is a little bit more of a narrower bar, which is again why I like this sort of setup, because it means I can fit down tracks just a little bit easier. So whereas the GXL will sit out like this, and then the bar work and the side scrub rails will come out this far. It's sort of kind of not really, but comes out that far roughly, and you're going to end up being wider going down the track. So being as narrow down the tracks as possible is definitely a good move. So that's the bar work there, all factory Toyota stuff. As you can see here, we'll address the elephant in the room that it, yes, is still running on the factory cheese cutter wheels. So we've got they are 33s, but they are incredibly thin, so they've been going okay, which again, I'll mention all the stuff about specific to the car. I'll mention all that in the review video coming up, so keep your eye out for that. That's going to be very soon. But yeah, apart from that, guys, factory bar work has been going awesome. Now, this did not come with any lockers at all, so I'm going to show you guys a locker system in a second, but I recently had the rear air lockers put in. They are an ARB product, so in the interior we will see very soon that we have some switches in there to activate that. On the outside here, guys, we have got, and again towards the front, we've got our GME UHF aerial there. This is the shorter one, and I've had no issues with the shorter ones compared to the larger ones. I've found that I get the same range and the same distance anyway, so I don't really have too many issues. And to be honest, I don't use it a huge amount. That's more just for when I'm communicating more short range anyway. So it's just handy having the UHF handset in the car. We also have a TJM Snorkel. So for those of you guys wondering, the reason why I went with this and not one of the stainless ones, as I'm trying to keep the noise down in this. The whole idea for this build was a tourer. So we're not trying to, get a huge amount of Instagram likes and climb ridiculous rock steps and break things. This is a sensible tourer that I can go camping in for long periods of time. So this TJM Snorkel here is really good because, and I'm not sponsored by them, but I just like this snorkel because one, it's not too expensive, but two, it just replaces the factory snorkel system, puts a nice big ram head on the top of there too, and gives it a better look, but also it replaces like 3 or 4 plastic pieces in there going into the factory airbox. So it means that you don't have to have any worries about sucking in any water, because that goes straight into the airbox in there, which I'll show you in a second when I pop open the hood. Now I'm gonna have as many links to the products that I can possibly think of, guys. So make sure you check the description if you wanna find out any information on any of these products. This is a Sanhema side view mirror. So this is a towing mirror. It's pretty cool. It extends out. It's pretty heavy duty sort of stuff. So, you know, you got to give things a little bit of a push. So it's a pretty serious bit of kit, that very solid unit, and it gives you much better visibility than the old side view mirrors. So pretty serious bit of kit, that one. And this is the old side view mirrors here. So not that great, these dinky old things. So pretty cool. I like these side view mirrors. They definitely give the car better presence. Doesn't really make it look so much like a farm truck anymore or a council vehicle. It's slowly turning into a normal ute. So those side view mirrors have been great so far. And so down below is one of those curved mirrors. So you can kind of see how it gives a little bit of a distorted line here on the side of the vehicle. And then these ones here are just flat ones. So it just gives you the surface area to see, you know, kind of like around the middle to the top of the vehicle going down the side. And then I angle these ones down so I can see where I sit in the parks, which, I mean, this is a pretty narrow vehicle, surprisingly, but it can be quite difficult to park, especially, you know, within the lines, because you know, the front is quite long on it, and it's and the turning circle is pretty rubbish. So trying to get this straight in a park can be a bit of a mission sometimes. But like I said, I am liking these side view mirrors. They are a very solid bit of kit. So yeah, again, liking those so far. Now moving on to what we've got up the top here. I've got an old awning that I've had since the early days of the channel. So that's just a shower tent awning. They're all difficult to set up and pack up, but I always get it wrong with the arms, but that one has just worked for me in the past, and it's on a set of batwing awning mounts. So for the Rhino rack, purely because it's just easy to modify, easy to set up on the Rhino rack system as well. So those are just accessible, they're around, and they weren't too much money, and they're more solid than what they give you with all the other, and they look better too than all of the other you know, mounts that they give you from the factory. So nice solid set there, and I do use this as a tie down up here, that little loop. I use that as a tie down for my swag when I chuck it on the top there, if I'm doing a bit of swag camping as well. So it's sitting, of course, on a Rhino rack platform. Now this is the more raised version, so you can see that there is a lot of height between here. Some people go with the reduced size one, so it sits closer to the roof. For two reasons, I went with this, I guess, more raised legs one. I think that's actually the name of it. They're called RL legs from memory, so they're actually raised. The reason why I went with this one is because I can actually get my arm in there and wash under the roof. One of the issues that I had with the backbone system that you can get for these from memory is that you just can't get your arm in there and actually clean under the roof. And the roof gets pretty grotty, and of course can fade and other things if you can't get to it and you can't wash it. So just one of those things that, you know, might help you guys out as well if you're choosing the modification on your 79. Is I went with this one with the raised legs and the platform, of course, just to give a bit more room, you know, just so you're not going to damage that roof at all. And it's super easy to set up with this. I mean, this is just clamps. So I show you guys how to do that in one of those build videos. And I will leave the build playlist for this car. We'll leave that at the end of this video if you guys want to check that out at any point. So that's that side. On the other side, go for a little bit of a walk around. It's all pretty quiet down this side here. It's all pretty much the same, but I do have a set of max tracks there, and just the max tracks pins as well, so I can lock it. Nothing worse than coming out to your car and not seeing your max tracks on your roof, because they do get pretty expensive if you have to keep replacing them. So just 2 max tracks is fine for me now that I've got the lockers. So I used to run 4, but not anymore. So that's pretty much the whole cab sort of front end of the vehicle. I'm gonna pop open the bonnet now and we'll have a look. And of course, one of those things I love about this bonnet is the fact that it's got that awesome raised kind of scoop there, which is pretty cool. So we'll get to the interior in a second. We'll pop open the bonnet and I'll show you what we've got going on under there. Now, forewarning, the 79 was super clean at one point a couple of weeks ago, but I have been, of course, using it quite a lot in between then. And I use the car a lot, guys, so it's going to be a little bit dirty in places. I've done a lot of off-roading in it, so it's just how it is. So I do still have everything under here is very standard. It's going to be a very quick sort of walk around the front here anyway. But here is the standard airbox. Didn't really want to, and this is again a theme of this build, is I don't want to mess with anything that's going to affect the warranty on this vehicle. So I still have the factory airbox set up there. And this is what I was talking about, guys, with the TJM. It kind of makes a immediate pipe going from here, and it's all one system. So it sticks a plastic out here, and then you just have a little silicon coupler like you would have on air intake on like your Honda Civic or something like that. And it's purely just a silicon coupler that just joins the factory airbox to the TJM Snorkel. So very, I guess, the fewer failure points that can go wrong with the Snorkel and with the airbox. So that's all factory airbox. Nothing has changed there. That is all the same. Underneath here is, of course, the usual V8. I haven't changed anything about it. No tunes, nothing. Again, trying to keep the factory warranty until the warranty runs out in about 4 years. And then we can discuss what we want to do with that then. That's going to be another discussion for another day. Now, underneath here, I've got my battery. Now, I don't have my second battery in here. I'll show you where that is for the, obviously, the 12-volt setup that I installed in here. But at the moment, it's a little bit of a spaghetti jungle. I tried to keep it in the best, I guess, condition as I could. But, you know, it's a little bit of a spaghetti jungle at the moment underneath here. So I will be sorting that out one day. But it works, you know, it's safe. Nothing has gone wrong with it and everything. I guess, like I said, it all works. So that's underneath here. I'll show you where the what accessories we're running off this in a second when we go into the canopy and work our way to the back of the vehicle. So let's work our way now into the interior. So in the interior here, you can see that we have got vinyl and lots of it. I don't have any car seats on here, guys, because this is actually really easy to clean and really easy to keep clean. So again, that's something we'll talk about in the review, but just for now, kind of gives you a bit of an idea that I'm very happy with the vinyl at the moment. It gets a little bit hot in the summer, and also isn't that great for when you are, I guess, you know, when you're driving around without a shirt on or something like that. You tend to stick to the seats. But anyway, that's just kind of how it is. Pros and cons, I guess. I still have the factory Landcruiser car mats because, you know, at the moment, I probably will end up changing them, but the vinyl is just so easy to clean as well. So do recommend a good set of car mats if you don't have the Workmate. Up here, I've just got your standard sort of dash mat there, just like an Autobahn one, that one. So nothing too crazy there. So as we work our way into the vehicle, we've got a few more things going on. So I've done a little bit of, I guess, a little bit of changes and a few modifications in here. So the first one is your obvious armrests. So any armrest you want to pick, go for it. They are pretty handy, especially for just resting your arm on that little sill there. So pretty good little spot there. So it does give you an extra cup holder. For some reason, people love cup holders. I don't need that many, but there's people out there that want cup holders, and I have plenty of them. So now, anyway, so we've got the armrest there, which has been going pretty good. It rattles around a little bit though, so that can be pretty annoying. So I don't know. I'll let you guys decide if that one's kind of worth your while, but it's a little cheap experiment anyway. Maybe just get one side to see how it goes and if you like it or not, but I got the two anyway, just in case. So down here as well, guys, you can see I've got a custom sound system here. So that is obviously doesn't come factory with the workmates at all. So you have to end up putting this kind of surround and this template on if you want to modify the factory door card. If you don't want to modify the factory door cards, you can actually buy them with these built into it from the Department of the Interior. So they make some awesome stuff. Consoles.com.au if you're looking for any of these products like that one there. It was a bit of a mission to get power to these doors. The reason is on the Workmate, there is no power going into these doors at all. So I had to actually route and figure out a way how to route the power to get into that door to power that, that speaker, which sounds easy. And I was hoping it would just be a little plug and play kit that I bought online. You can't actually just plug and play with a Workmate. These are just some speakers, again, bought from Autobarn. Kickers, they go all right. They have a good sound to them. I don't have the factory speakers that are normally here. I don't have them plugged into anything at all, but I may add another speaker in there later on. And again, same thing on the other side. So the next thing, and this is probably one of the biggest things in this vehicle that kind of stands out, is this center console. So this is a very, very good upgrade. Probably my favorite upgrade, I would say. Out of everything that I've done, probably my Canopy and probably the center console are my top two, I guess, modifications that I've done. So it gives you an extra couple of cup holders, has this nice little handy storage tray here too. But it also gives you, if you want, you can option it with a scan gauge, which is pretty awesome. Gives you heaps of information, more than you'll ever need. And I can clear codes, because one of the things I was really worried about was having like the DPF having some issues and then not having a way to be able to fix it. So that actually gives you the opportunity and the ability to clear those codes. So that's a pretty cool little setup. And again, I'll show you what it looks like when I turn the car on a little bit. In here, gives you a huge storage space. Those of you who have 79s know that there is not a lot of room in that factory console, which sits all the way down there. So you can't even put your arm on it. So this raises it and gives you, again, that armrest, which is pretty cool. And in here, I've done a little bit of a few little sneaky things. This is actually a pretty good spot to install things. So I have just the UHF kind of little head unit sitting in here. You can buy brackets to have them fit under here in the glove compartment area, but I actually like it there, and I can run my wiring, and I ran my wiring all, let's see if I can get this out here. Nothing is too difficult to get out in this car. So I actually ran all my wiring underneath here. So that's a pretty cool little feature of having this console here, because there is a gap between the little console that sits up top there on the factory one and a little console that sits back here. So it gives you a little bit of a wiring route, I guess, from the front to the middle of the vehicle. So that's, again, something that's pretty cool. And I do use that little storage tray just for chucking my phone in all the time. And you can see I've got the scan gauge fires up when there's a little bit of motion, and I've got my boost pressure, coolant temps, and a couple other things on there as well. So that's pretty cool too. So you're probably wondering what some of this other stuff is on here. It's a little bit of a setup at the moment. So I've got an arm coming out of here, and that is for my Garmin InReach. I don't have it on there at the moment because I'm not traveling. I use it for hiking as well. So I've got the a mount there that just sits my Garmin InReach Mini, and that is awesome just for if I run out of reception, which, you know, is pretty easy to happen around the Cairns area. I just press a button to send a message to let my loved ones know I'm okay, and it sends it, and I've got good reception here. So that's why I mounted it here and not somewhere else, because it actually has really good reception where it's sitting right now. I've got a UHF mount there. Can't quite remember where I got that one from, but again, I'll try to remember and leave a link for it. And I've got the XRS, again, I can't remember the exact name or brand of that one, but that is an XRS unit, and it is super handy, very clear. Haven't even used half of the functions on that one either. I do have a little USB-C and just typical USB point in there. I use that so I can charge my phone as I'm driving. I do have these mounts here, again, from the console.com.au, so Department of the Interior people, and they have mounts there, so you can put your phone mount on there. So my plan is to put a some sort of mount with a wireless in it, like a quad lock or something like that, so I can have it sit here. That would be a pretty sick little setup for my phone. And I obviously will have to run navigation through there because the stock head unit doesn't have navigation, but it is good enough, like for what I want to do with that head unit. It does enough. Now, moving on to other things in the car, I have got these handles. Now, these I was a little bit skeptical at first, swapping out my factory handles with these, because the handles are actually a really big thing getting into these vehicles, because it is quite hard to get into them. So having something that moves has actually been super handy. So these are made by a company called Ozgrips, and I know the person who started Ozgrips. He is an ex-student of mine, so I want to make sure that I would give him a good plug, and only because these things work awesome. They work fantastic, and he can do custom designs for you guys. So make sure you go ahead, check out his Instagram, and give him some love, because that is an absolute awesome bit of kit, and it's in black and white, just like this vehicle's theme is. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, he's doing a great job over there. And yeah, so moving on to other things in the car, I've got this screen here. You're probably wondering what that is. So I'll just chuck the key in the ignition, and we'll light up some of this stuff here, and we'll kind of show you guys what's going on. Now, that reminds me, I do have, and this is going to be one of those things, guys, where it just keeps going on and on because I've done so much to this car. I do have a 75mm gear knob extension, and I feel like the 75mm is the one to get. It's the biggest one I think you can get, and it is the best one to get, and that's why I put the XRS unit, the handset, over on that side, because when you shift into fifth over here, you'd be knocking that out of its socket. So that's why I moved that one over there. It's not the most convenient place. I'd probably rather have it somewhere else, but I'm actually pretty happy with that where it is at the moment. And sometimes if I'm just using it, I just leave it on my lap anyway, or I just chuck it in that little area if I can't be bothered trying to figure out where it goes. So let's chuck a little bit of power in the car now. We'll turn it on. You can see everything starts to fire up, and I've found that the stock head unit has been okay for what I want to use it for. Now, if I put the parkers on, you'll see that I've got, it's not the best angle, but that is that is my driveway. So you can see that is my reversing camera. So apologies for the angle, it's not the best, but that is just one that I found through, I think it was J-Car, I think it was. It's a wireless unit, so I've got it plugged into the accessory power. So when I want to use it, I just flick my light on. I don't really like having it just as a reverse system, which is why I linked it up to my parkers, because it just made more sense being able to just flick my parkers on, and I can see who's behind me and what's behind me, because if you have a look behind me, I have got absolutely no vision. So having vision out the back all the time is kind of a priority. Now, you're probably wondering why I didn't put a screen up there, and it's because I just couldn't find the right system. I've seen guys with some of these screens up here, and it's got a lot of features on it, but I just haven't been able to find one that I like and one that was within my budget. So that one was actually super cheap. And yeah, it was like a couple $100, and I was able just to rig up a little bit of a custom mount on there too, and I can move that around because it's just on Velcro. So, but it hasn't gone anywhere. It's been really good, you know, in trying to make sure I'm not going to hit anything and nothing is behind me. I also down here have the a gear extension on here too, because I originally bought one of the smaller sizes for the gear extension here. So just for putting the vehicle into high and low. It was a bit too low with this console, so having the extension has been an absolute win. So really liking that there at the moment. Now I do have the little connection here, so I do have a quick disconnect for my XRS unit. So that is from a UHF, so that's really easy to work out, and I can just take it out of the car if I want. I can just unplug it if I don't want to have the handset in there all the time, but it looks cool, so why not keep it? I've got a compressor, which I'll show you guys in a second. So when I press that compressor, let's see if it'll work with the car on, see what it does. See if it primes. It might already be primed. Yeah, it's already primed. So it's already got some air in the tank, so it's not going to do anything. And I've got that for the reason of the rear air locker. So I've got an ARB air locker in here. So as you can see by the sticker, and that just activates the rear diff lock. And I've only got one locker at the moment. Might do two later on, who knows, we'll see. I'm going to try the one at the moment. I've only ever had one in the past anyway, so I think one will be okay. And I've got that, again, that compressor in there, which is super handy and great for pumping up tires and that really fast. So that's most of what we've got in the interior. It's probably taken up quite a bit of time going through everything I got in here, but we spend most of our time in here, guys. One more thing, this is probably, again, my top 3 things that I've done to the vehicle, is the fact that I've got a roof shelf up here. So obviously something that doesn't come factory with the vehicle, but it looks factory. It looks like it should have come with it from the factory, and that's how good of a job that these Department of the Interior guys have done on this. The stitching is perfect, and it's not a lot of room, which can be a bit annoying. It's really like, I'm gonna give you a bit of context. This is, you know, what's this? Some baby wipes. I don't know how many are in here, 30 or something. And that's pretty much like, when that's full, that's about as much room as you have. So it's only good for thin things, snacks, things like that. But yeah, very handy space. You can chuck your sunnies and stuff up there as well. So yeah, so it just gives you a little bit of extra room and storage, because there isn't really a lot of storage around in here besides the glove compartment, and I've got that now too. But yeah, super handy. But also storage comes with this Department of the Interior as well. That that kind of speaker mount, they give you a little bit of a mat pocket there too, which is, again, very handy. And I do store a lot of things in there, like my insect repellent and sunscreen and other various bits and pieces that you have when you go camping. It always gets full and it gets dirty, and then have to keep getting it out and cleaning everything out in there. So that is the front of the interior, but it doesn't stop there. In the interior, we have more. So in here, I have got a bit of a rear kit that Department of the Interior sells as well, and it just provides a rear cup holder and a rear little cubby in there too, which is pretty cool. And it also puts a little bit of a kick panel in there as well. So you should be able to see that a little bit better now. We've got that cubby there as well, which is pretty cool. You can fit quite a bit of stuff in there. And then there is this kick panel here, which just neatens things up a lot more. I mean, that's usually some bare metal there, so that kick panel goes all the way down to the floor there, which just neatens things up and just makes it, again, look a little bit more like a car. So moving to the back of the vehicle now, we'll be able to see my tray canopy setup with under tray boxes and also a drawer underneath it as well. So I've got the reverse camera kind of sticking out there, not the best spot, but for now it's just going to have to do. So over on this side here, I've got my under tray box. So this is just where I keep my kind of general sort of stuff. So any ropes and, you know, anything, pegs, things like that, I keep there, some tie downs. So that's just kind of my general one. I try to leave it pretty spare and pretty open if I can. So like the little Landcruiser 79 little logo there too. So this is made by a company called PSE. So PSE Fabrications, that's Pete who owns that company. He is fantastic. He's, you know, makes really high quality stuff. As you can see, like the quality of the welds on here, and as I show you guys around the canopy in the back of it, you'll just see how great it is. You know, local guy too here in Cairns, so make sure that you hit him up. I'll leave his details in the description as well. He's just unreal. So looking towards the back here, and again, moving towards the back, I've got a trundle drawer. So great setup here. You know, pops open that little door there, and then you need to use these little latches to unhook them. And then we've got this drawer here, and it is a monster of a drawer. It just keeps going and going and going. So that thing is an absolute beast. You know, I've got my fire pit in there, axe, things that I just don't really mind getting dirty and stuff like that. So pretty cool little drawer, that one. I don't mind that one at all. And you can see I've got my spare wheel on the back there, and 2 jerry can holders, which are, again, just, I've normally put firewood when I'm going camping and like just around cans and that. But you know, when I'm doing the bigger trips, I'll for sure be able to put jerry cans in there to give me even more fuel, and just a really great way to really, you know, carry just more gear. That's what it's all about, isn't it? The more gear you can carry, the you know, the better your trips will be, I guess. Sometimes. So in the back section here, you'll be able to see I've got an ARB single compressor in there. That little silver part on the right side, that's a little canister that actuates the rear locker. So it can do that about 3 or so times before it needs to fill it up. But as you activate it, it just pumps it back up again straight away anyway. And there is an outlet there too for the tire kit that it comes with. So I can pump up my tires pretty quickly. Yeah, it's a great setup. And, you know, can go from like 20 PSI to 35 in like a minute or two. So that's more than I will ever need, that's for sure. On the top, I've got my Sanhema Jervis Pro rooftop tent. So that is a tent that isn't a clamshell. It's the type of one that you have to open up and you have to pull out. I'll throw some video footage over the top so you can see kind of how it folds out and that. So that is the rooftop tent. So it folds out and open that way like that. So then the ladder comes off this side and goes down here. So on the other side of the canopy is where I have my kitchen and that. So I don't really like to interfere with that. But this side is just my carrying side of the canopy. So let's have a look at that canopy now. Yeah, I talked about that rooftop tent. It's good. I will do a review on that in the future as well. But you know, the roof of it and kind of the top of it is starting to get a little bit faded. But that is the Cairns heat for you. It is not easy on vehicles. So this side is just purely storage at the moment. So there's absolutely nothing in here. It is all just nice and open, and I can store a pile of stuff in there. I took a bunch of kids camping and we put about, it must have been about 8 or 9 packs in here, hiking packs. So it was just filled to the absolute brim in here. So yeah, pretty cool little area to have. Always great to have that storage space. So we'll go around the other side now. We'll check out what the kitchen side looks like. Here on this side as well, while I remember, is I do have a Sanhema 270-degree awning. It is the bigger one, so there's a knuckle on this side, and that opens out that way, and there is a knuckle on this side, which opens out that way as well. So gives you a lot of coverage on there. The bag is a little bit small, as you can see. It kind of stretches a bit and can be a bit finicky trying to get that back in there, but it is good once you have it set up, and it is much easier to set up than my last awning. So that is definitely a win, and for the price, you can't really go wrong. It's one of the cheapest 270s out there on the market. So with everything all fully set up and all the doors open, it's a pretty good setup. Like, you know, lots of accessibility. If you have a couple of people, the family and stuff, you can, you know, all be working around this one area. So I've got my 12 volt setup in here. This is an Atom Power 12 volt battery. So this is 200 amps of lithium. You can buy a lot of this stuff from Vic Off-Road. So you can get the awning, you can get the rooftop tent, and you can get the DC to DC charger that I've got, this one here. So you can get that one, and you can get the lithium battery. You can get all that at a very reasonable price off Vic Off-Road. So very happy with this battery so far. Having 200 amp hours is absolutely awesome, and for it to sit up on the headboard like that just makes it look so much better than those typical sort of lithium batteries I used to have, where they just kind of just take up room on the floor. But like that, it just makes it so much better. And it's got a little battery management system in here, so it tells you what percentage you're up to. And it also, that DC to DC charger, and the reason why I like this one is it charges up my battery from 0 to 200 in just 5 hours of driving. And I don't really use a huge amount of power. I've got, you know, yeah, I need to charge camera gear and stuff, and I need to run my fridge. But I mean, like, I'm not using like coffee machines and induction cooktops and stuff. So for me, this 200 amp hours actually gets me a really long time off the grid. So that's pretty cool. Now that DC to DC charger is pretty awesome because it actually has a reverse charge feature. So I can activate that and it will actually put charge into, you can see there's a little button there on the top, and that actually puts charge into my main battery. So if that ever goes flat and I'm out in the bush, I can use this to start my car. So not a bad feature, and definitely was at the very top of my feature list to make sure I had when I was doing my 12 volt. My 12 volt all comes up, it's all run down through from the battery down this side of the vehicle, and it comes up through there. You can see that one there, and it pops up through the floor of the canopy, and it comes up to just up to here, really, and that's it. And so it goes up to the DC to DC charger, DC to DC into the battery, and yeah, that's how we get all our power. And then I also have just a generic, you can find these anywhere, generic 12 volt box. They're pretty much everywhere now. Everyone sells them. I've also got just a small inverter. I think this is a 250 watt, something like that inverter here, just to charge like things like my computer. Very small things that require 240 volts. So again, I'm not a huge 240 volt user when I go camping. So as long as I can charge my batteries and stuff using the USBs, pretty much good. And yeah, and if I'm doing the longer trips, which I'm getting set up for next year, I have got the 240 there ready to go. I do also have a light here as well, which is pretty cool. Honestly, can't remember the name of that light, but I think I got it from Anaconda or Autobahn or something like that. And again, just gives you a little bit of light there, which is pretty sick. I only have it on this side. You make it brighter and you can make it duller too, which is pretty handy. So and you can change colors on it too. So that one's, and then it's also got a combo light as well. So not quite sure what anyone would use that one for, but either orange or white will be what I'm using. So pretty simple to use. I just got it up there using Velcro, which is held up pretty good. We'll see how it goes long term, but I'll probably end up bolting it on or something like that. I've got just, again, a generic drawer from somewhere. I think it was BCF or something like that. I don't know. I'll leave links to things that are pretty close to this anyway. They're all pretty generic. I built this myself, and this is the handy thing about having a custom built canopy, because you can get things done that aren't in other people's canopies. Like these walls in most canopies are all flat, but on this canopy, it's got channels. So you can actually, yeah, put floors in there. I've done all this myself. You can put these things in here. Like I made this again myself, just a little basic table holder, so I can chuck my table in there and keeps it out of my drawers and gives me more space, and I still have room to open up my fridge. So pretty handy. That is the advantage of having custom built things, because you get exactly what you want, and actually not for much more than you would expect. I've got my drawer here as well, which needs to be reorganized a little bit, but one drawer goes okay, but I definitely need to have two drawers. But at the moment I've got one drawer, and I've also chucked a box on top of here as well. And I've got my first aid and gas cooker just behind it on this little top here too, which has got some tie downs. So pretty handy that. Yeah, and I've got a little shelf here as well, just to hold my gear while it is charging on my on the USBs. One of the things that I really like about this whole setup is actually this little spoiler on the back. It's pretty cool. Gives it a nice custom look, makes it look, you know, again, makes it look custom, but gives it that little extra, gives it that extra look, you know, we love our cars, we love our vehicles, we always want to do just a little bit more to them, go that extra step, and having that little spoiler on the back is actually pretty cool. Now, moving down here is I do have a water tank, 54 liters of water. So it's pretty simple. You just open up the valve, stick the hose on there, fill it up. When you're done, it all spits out the breather hose, which is down the side there, and then you just close it off, and then you've got 54 liters, and it is gravity fed. It's not, you know, it's not, there's no water in it at the moment because it's not camping at the moment, but you know, it is gravity fed. It does not have a pump, so I haven't had any issues with that so far. But you know, if you want to have showers and stuff like that, obviously you'd want to get a 12 volt pump or something like that fitted onto it. I do have some custom headlights that are wired up too, and they're pretty nice. I think they're from a company called HiMod from memory, and they look okay, but probably a bit too much chrome on there. I don't know, but it fits in well with the with all the aluminium as well, and that kind of silver sort of bezel around it, I guess. Doesn't look too bad. And the thing that I really like, I mean, I like a lot about this car, but one of the things I really like is that all this is modular. So if I break anything on here, full driving, or someone runs into me or hit a tree or something, all this can be taken off and put back on. I just have to give my mate Pete a call. He can bend it up, do what he needs to do, and then send it out to me, and I can just bolt it all on. So very handy having, you know, having custom work done to your vehicle. I definitely rate Pete's work on that tray and canopy. It's an awesome thing to have, and this is my first canopy I've had like this. So definitely has been, it's definitely changed the way I've camped, that's for sure. So that concludes the detailed walk around of everything that I've done so far to the 79 series Landcruiser. And there are still a few things that need to be done. Things like 2-inch lift, bigger wheels and tires. I've got a couple of small things to do. I might do an upgraded seat. Again, I'm gonna see how that goes next year, but again, that's kind of like a maybe sort of a thing. Might do a new fridge in there as well, maybe do a stand-up fridge. These are all things that are just kind of like maybes at that point. But in terms of like big modifications that I'm going to do, it's pretty much going to be new headlights, 2-inch lift, and bigger wheels and tires. And then I think I'm pretty much there at that point. So really, it's just the last kind of 4 or 5 things that I need to do, and then in my eyes, I'm done. So that is like, I mean, you know, this has been about nearly a year now. And I've done pretty much something to this vehicle every single week, and sometimes a couple of things a week. And I'm sure I've forgotten something on the list here, but just the amount of things that you can do to your vehicles is endless. And the number one thing, if you've made it this far, my number one piece of advice to you guys, if you're building your own vehicles at home, is to just do the things that you want to do. Don't do anything more than that. Yeah, like I watch other people's builds, and I'm always interested in what other people are up to, and I take, little bits of advice from them, and I get some inspiration from here and there as well. But at the end of the day, it's me living with the vehicle, and it's me thinking about, yeah, sure, I would love to have a 4-inch lift or a 6-inch lift and have 37s, but that wouldn't really serve my purposes. And if anything, it would actually make my experience of owning this vehicle worse. So like for me, it's just a matter of me figuring out what I want to get out of the vehicle, what I want to do with the vehicle, and building it to that and nothing more. If my needs change in the future, I can always change it, but it's not about seeing what other people are doing and trying to copy that. Unfortunately, kind of like what happens is, you end up doing a lot of the same things. Like, say the side view mirrors, for example. A lot of people do side view mirrors, but that's because the side view mirrors on the 79 are terrible. You know what I mean? So there's going to be some overlap anyway, but I think like the overall idea and the overall finished product of your vehicle should be a reflection of you. It should be a reflection of what you want to get out of the vehicle, what you're doing with the vehicle on a daily basis, or if you're just, using it for a bit of fun, what you do in your spare time. That's how it should be reflected. So, I mean, my number one piece of advice for you guys is, yes, feel free to have a look at the products and listen to what I have to say about, the different things I put on my vehicle. But at the end of the day, only buy the things and only install the things that you actually need. And, you guys will see, you'll see me install things, and you'll probably see them off the vehicle as well. And that's because I test things out and I see if it fits within my needs or not. And that's something I like about this hobby, is that it's never perfect. There's always something that you can change. There's always something that you can be doing better. So I do like changing things around a little bit. I do like testing out different products and seeing if it works for my needs. And hopefully, like me showing you guys around and having these discussions and listening to these videos gives you a bit of an idea as to, and maybe saves you a bit of money as well, so you don't have to do all the testing, and gives you a bit of an idea as to what works and what doesn't, and hopefully saves you guys a bit of money in the process. But like I said, guys, I put all the links to this stuff down below, so if you want to check it out, you can, but only buy the things that you actually need that will work in for you. And guys, that's about it. So thank you for joining me for today's detailed walk around. Today was a little bit of a different sort of video. I didn't feel like I wanted to rush through anything today. I just wanted to kind of hang out, show you guys my car, and show you guys some of the ideas that I had for it. And hopefully you guys appreciate that. If not, let me know down in the comment section if you prefer a more fast-paced, zip through things. But the videos I've always done on this channel have always been a little bit slower, maybe than other people's, and take a little bit more time to explain myself a little bit, which could be good, could be bad. I'm not too sure at this point. Guess time will tell at some point. But if you guys enjoyed today's video where I slowed it down a little bit, make sure you let me know. Drop a like, subscribe, all that sort of stuff helps. And yeah, like I said, guys, I hope that this helps you out with your own builds, and and you give things a crack yourself. And I do like this hobby. I like sharing it with you guys, and I love my 79 as well. It's definitely a dream car, and being able to fit it out and get it to this point, sometimes you just have to stop and think, and I'll often only do that when I get to the editing part of my videos or when I'm making the thumbnails and stuff, and I'm like, oh man, that's a sick car. So for me, I really like doing this sort of stuff, and I do like sharing it with you guys, and yeah, it's just a good time all around. So guys, I've got a couple of videos in the works. I've got the 12-month review of the 79 coming up. So if you want to see that, make sure you've got the notification bell ticked. So make sure you've clicked that button. And I've also got the FJ Cruiser needs to be finished off. It's a little light restoration that I've been working on. So if you guys want to see that, make sure that you have got that. There it is, just sitting there collecting a little bit of dust, but it's cleaner than it was and it's better than it was. So if you guys want to see that, make sure that you have that notification bell on. Otherwise, you probably won't see the videos popping up. So guys, on that note, thank you so much for watching, and I appreciate you all watching all the way to the end, and I'll see you very shortly in the next video. Take care.